fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Nightbird from the Transformers Studio series from Hasbro. Nightbird is from the recently released Rise of the Beast movie that came out this past summer, and she is number 104 in the Studio series. Nice artwork here on the front, although she's wielding two swords, and I think the figure only comes with one sword, so that's a little misleading. Got a close-up of some artwork over here on the side. And then the same artwork over here on this side. Just have the Rise of the Beast logo there on top. Nothing really going on the bottom. And then over here on the back, we have some product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. Although I have to say, this is a nicely streamlined robot design here in the artwork. And then it seems very clunky in the chest area here in the robot mode. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to go ahead, get Nightbird out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. Taking a quick look at the display stand that's included, we've seen this picture several times with some of the other Studio Series releases for this movie. It's just that battleground out front of the museum, the kind of the first major battle of the film. So we've seen this picture before, but it's a decent little backdrop. She fits pretty well in there, and yeah, not too bad. So here is Nightbird out of the packaging. Now she is definitely mistransformed when you first get her in the packaging. The entire back piece, like the roof and the hood of the car, is all kind of just, you know, down her back. And basically what you have to do, if I untransform this here, so I think it comes like this. This is straightened out. Hold on, let me get this going. I swear that bends. Maybe not. But in any case, the directions are actually pretty decent about telling you what to do. I think it comes in the packaging basically like this. And so you have to fold this piece up, then you actually rotate this whole piece around 180, and then you have to kind of bend this because there's a tab right there, and then there's a tab right here. So you pop out the wings, and then this comes up, and let me bend that. This pegs in to this, and it can be a little finicky, but once you get it, it's pretty strong. And then there's these two clear tabs right here and here, which are going to lay in these little notches right here. So you bring that up and peg that in there. And then it's pretty compact. It's pretty decent. I mean, it's still, you know, a decent sized backpack. I kind of wish this piece folded up more. The back of the packaging makes it look like it does. And there's a pin here that makes it seem like it should fold up, but I can't really seem to get it to happen. And the directions don't show doing it. So I don't know. But yeah, still a pretty sizable backpack there. My suspicions were confirmed. She does only come with one katana, even though the artwork shows her wielding two. I think it would have been nice to have two, because there's definitely storage for both in the vehicle mode. So, I don't know. Would have been cool. But anyway, I think the figure looks pretty good. I like the head sculpt. You have a nice translucent purple piece there. I think the head is nicely detailed. The eyes are painted very nicely. The silver for the face looks pretty good. You have some nice gold detailing here in the chest. A little bit of purple here on the shoulders. The blade of the katana is painted black, which looks pretty good. A little bit of gold paint down here. There'll be some more on the sides of the vehicle and everything once we get into the vehicle mode. Purple wheels, which is pretty cool. I like that. So all in all, I think the color scheme looks pretty good. Articulation-wise, head's on a ball joint. You can certainly go side to side. You can look up and down a decent amount. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder, so you can get pretty good range of motion out to the side, front to back. I was trying to see if I can move this up, but I think the arms fold in for the transformation, but I think they kind of lock here, and that's about as high up as they can go. But you have a bicep swivel. 90 degrees in the elbow. I don't think the hands or wrists move at all. No, they don't. You do have a waist swivel, but because of the backpack, it's not really going to give you much because you're going to hit into that. Kick pretty far forward, honestly. Again, you're going to hit into the backpack, but you can kick decently far back and definitely kick out to the side, which I think is kind of cool because Nightbird, at least in the original animated series, was kind of a ninja. And so, you know, I think they're carrying that over here because you have the katana and everything. So being able to do some high kicks, I think, is definitely in keeping with the ninja aesthetic. And this is all come unpegged. Let's see if we can get that back on. There we go. You have double jointed knees, which is kind of cool. But that's because you really don't have anything in the ankles. At least I think that's what they were trying to make up for. So you have these like barely nothing toes that just kind of kick out the tiniest bit. I guess technically you could say that's ankle tilt, but it's really for the transformation. But I guess you could say that that's ankle tilt. It doesn't really look like an ankle. I mean, she's got kind of weird legs. I feel like the mainline one was very similar in having those weird skinny legs. It just looks a little off. And then I feel like I can't get the chest. Oh, maybe there. Did it finally snap in? There we go. Got that finally pegged in. So all in all, it's okay. I will say, though, she's tiny. Just for a size comparison here, where did I put? Here's Shadow Striker, which just seems so much bigger. And then here's Voyager Ratchet. But Voyager Ratchet is kind of like just a beefier deluxe. So, I mean, just in general, she's kind of tiny. I don't know. I don't know why the deluxes keep trending tinier and tinier and tinier, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't know. I guess it is what it is. You can store the katana in a couple of places. So if we want, we can take this out and you can store it on the back here. There's a tab, and then there's like a big slot right there in the middle of the sword. So you can tab this on right there if you like. But what I think is cooler, over here on this side, if we lift the arm up, there's a tab on the side of this door panel. And so we can tab this in over here, and then it's almost kind of like a hip sheath, which I think is kind of cool. So I like that a lot. I really appreciate that you can store it there on the hip. I think that's kind of cool. I think that's a cool look. Again, very kind of ninja, although maybe more samurai. I don't know. They like to kind of mix those genres when it suits them. But overall, I think she looks good. I mean, yes, sizable backpack, but it could be worse. I've seen worse for sure. And you can kind of, like, if you really needed to do something with the hips or something like that, you could always kind of unpeg this and move it out of the way. And then you could get more range of motion in the hips. Or not the hips, the waist swivel I'm talking about. So you have a few options if you needed to kind of move that around temporarily. Peg that back in there. So it's not the best backpack in terms of hindering articulation, but it's not the worst. I'm sure there are worse out there. But yeah, it's kind of a cool looking figure. Very thin, like... But the nice thing about the legs is they're not too long. Like, I was afraid they'd be too tall, because a lot of times when they're real tall and thin, they look really awkward. But I feel like, you know, with a couple decent posing options here, the legs don't look too ridiculous. Yeah, overall, it's not too bad. The little wings on the back, they don't do much for me, but at least they did something, because she does fly around in the movie considerably. And that was something that, like, previous releases of her have not really even hinted at. So the fact that they, you know, gave her these tiny little wings, which I'll admit kind of seemed like an afterthought, but they did something to remind us that she had wings in the movie. So appreciate that at least. But yeah, honestly, overall, not a terrible little robot mode. Transformation is actually not bad. I'm going to go ahead and remove the katana. So we are going to start by kind of unhooking all of this backpack stuff and kind of stretching this out. We'll fold up the wings, and then I think this folds down like this. You can kind of just leave that there like that for now. We're going to unpeg the backpack, bring this up, flip this back around, flip out this little panel right there. We are going to lift up, kind of open up these chest pieces, and the car pieces will kind of sidle out to the side here, like so. And then you can lift this over the head, and then bring the arms down, and they just kind of easily drop in. There's no weird clearance issues or anything. They just drop in. Boom. Simple. Then you're going to take this section and pop this in, and then that's going to fill in that spot in the center there. And you can see the front of the car already starting to take shape. Leave all that up there. So the legs can get a little weird, but they're not too bad. You're going to kind of grab these panels here and you're going to pull them away from the leg ever so slightly. They don't really move all that much out to the side, but just to give you a little bit of clearance, you'll kind of hear them pop out. Then we're going to spin at the thigh swivel, which I don't know if I mentioned it had a thigh swivel, but it absolutely does. Then you're going to bend, and if you have the little toes out, make sure you push them in. I mean, honestly, you could leave them in and you wouldn't even notice for the robot mode, but fold these in. And then this is where it gets a little weird. So you kind of bring this up, and it has these tabs on the inside here, and they kind of sit inside the double jointed knee. So you kind of bring this up, and it just kind of like, I think it's really just kind of like a guide. It doesn't really click in. It's just so you can kind of line this up. And then I forgot you want to rotate these as well. And then I like to kind of fold this out. You're going to have to... So this is on a double hinge, and you need to leave this part down so that you can fold that part out like that. And then that way this will come up, and that can clip into place there, and then just kind of hang out there. So let me move this out to the side like that. This is going to come up. Let me zoom out here so you can actually see what I'm doing. So bring this up, and that kind of sits in there, and that'll allow you to line that up. And then you can bring the hands all the way up. Now you can see that there's these two little tab slots on the side, and there's a tab on the door. So when you bring this in, it's going to tab in to the side of the arm, and then also you kind of have to wiggle it under here. But it's really not too difficult at all to do. So bring this up, tab it into the arm, and also kind of wiggle it under the wheel well. And there you go. I mean, that's most of the car done. And then the very last thing is just make sure this is kind of tucked under here, and then bring this down. And you can see that there is a tab right here and then one on the other side, and they're going to just tab in right there and there. So just kind of bring this down, boom, and you're done. It's honestly pretty simple transformation. I'm actually really happy with it. I think the vehicle mode looks fantastic. Not too much in terms of like panels or anything, or maybe it's just because it's an overall darker color scheme that you don't notice it as much. But the gold stripe all the way around the bottom, I think looks fantastic. The purple wheels really pop. You have that little bit in here as well. And I think there's a super tiny little Terracon symbol right there in the grille of the car. The spoiler looks great. You have the mix of kind of like translucent windows and then this. But see, this is because it's got that kind of piece on the back. I don't believe that that's meant to be a clear window because it's got the... I don't know what this is specifically called. I'm not well versed in parts of a car, but that's done in black, so I believe it makes sense that these would be translucent and this would not be. You have a little bit of paint here on the back for the back lights, the tail lights there, and you can store this. There's a little notch right here where you can just pop this on like so. Or actually, does it not fit? It should fit on both sides. I think I just have the directions tell you to put it on this one. I don't think it really matters, and that's why I said, I guess they would have had to mold, because you'd probably need another one where the notch was on this side, but the sword blade was still facing this way. I know, I guess it's the same. Yeah, I'm dumb. But anyway... You could store two, and she has two on the packaging, and I think it would have been really cool if she had two, because then you could put one on the back and one on the hip. So I'm really kind of bummed that they only gave us one. I really wish she had two, and you know, she could store two. It all works. It's all the groundwork has been laid out. Maybe she was originally going to come with two, and then at the last minute for a budget thing, they had to scrap one of them. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But hey, who knows? If this ever goes on ridiculous clearance for like $5 or something at Target, maybe I'll grab one just to have a second sword. But it's a really nice vehicle mode, honestly. It rolls nicely. If you can see that, if I move the camera so you can actually see it. But yeah, it rolls nice. I mean, it's a solid looking vehicle mode. The transformation is really not that difficult. It's pretty quick and simple. Yeah, I like this a lot, honestly. I love the vehicle mode. I think it looks really great. Really fantastic. I think Nightbird is a fun release. I definitely think the vehicle mode is probably the better of the two modes. I think that's really where this toy shines. It just looks fantastic. The paint applications are nice. Transformation back and forth is pretty simple, which I appreciate. I'm warming up to the robot mode, honestly. It's just kind of the legs are a little wonky to me because they're so thin. But if you think about it, Battletrap was kind of the same way, so maybe it's just a Terracon thing. I don't know. But like I said, I'm warming up to it. I do like the wings. I like the translucent purple for the head, although it kind of eclipses the eyes a little bit. It's a little hard to see them. But again, you got the paint applications on the shoulders and the chest, which look pretty good. I really wish she came with 2 katanas. I think that would have been really fantastic to have, you know, these 2, katana for the ninja. Plus, you could have one store here on the hip and then one on the back, so you should have storage for both of them. I really feel like there was probably a plan to do 2 originally, and then they just probably for budget had to scrap it at the last second or something like that, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, honestly, I think it's a fun little release. A character that, you know, we got to see decently in the movie, but certainly didn't get much character development. So I guess you can just kind of give her whatever character you like. The wings, you know, they kind of feel like an afterthought, but at least it's some kind of nod to the fact that she was flying around a lot in the movie, so I appreciate that. Because I think the mainline release didn't have anything like that. Oh, I could steal the sword from the mainline release. Maybe I'll do that. It probably won't look as good, but that's an option. In any case, I still think it's a fun little release. Do I think it's better than the mainline? That's hard to say. I would say yes, because I feel like there were some clearance issues with the mainline one, and I think the transformation for this one is very simplistic. Not overly simplistic, but I have never had any issues. I've transformed it a couple times now, and I haven't really had any issues getting anything to line up or snap in place or anything like that, so that's kind of nice. So I would say this one's probably a little better than the mainline release. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you are a fan of the movie and you're looking for a good Nightbird. I think this one is a very viable alternative. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.